I watched the movie last night, so I don't want to compare it to other novels in our generation, but I think it's inevitable because, it's targeted at teens and it's set in a dystopian future. So did you guys feel any pressure, like distinguishing Divergent from other movies at this time?
Yes. No, yeah, of course. I mean, my feeling was that I wanted to make it. It is obviously has a female heroine in in the future, and but my feeling was that I wanted to make it obviously as different as possible than those movies, and often those. We were just talking about that, but often those movies they're sort of grim and sort of gray and bleak and post-apocalyptic, and so one thing was to kind of tip it a little bit more toward, at least in the beginning, toward kind of a utopia in the beginning, and to actually shoot it in a much more luminous and light kind of way. Triss wants to be part of this society, wants to find her place in it, and so we tried to actually make it seem to be initially a society that was worth joining before you obviously start to see the cracks in all of it. So, but I think it's a very different story. She's not on the run the whole time. She's not just trying to survive. She's actually having really complex relationships with a whole variety of people, with her friends, with her parents, with her mentors, with her sort of superior officers, with people who are trying to help her, with her people who are trying to undercut her the whole time, in a kind of a real world, even though it's in the future, setting.
Also, our lead character is very different in that the person in the other movie that we love and admire is very, very strong from the beginning, whereas our girl, Triss, isn't even allowed to look in the mirror when she starts off. She has a wistful longing for something that she doesn't even know she can ever grasp. So we have a story of somebody that learns not only to look at herself in the mirror, but to actually take on the smartest person in the world and win. So that's a very different kind of a story. And the other thing that's quite different, I think, is ours is an urban story, and the other one is not set in an urban environment. It's in a much more, the city's more fantastical, and the forest is the forest, so it's very different visually. But I would say the lead journey of what the character has to go through is much more like a heightened versions of things that, as Veronica said, we all go through. Who am I? And if I show people who I really am, will they hate me? Will they kill me? Or will they accept me? Will I be strong if I'm different? Will I be able to own my own strength? Those are things that the average person does think of, maybe not on the scale that Triss has to face it. So I think it's different.
Hi, Shailene is great as a heroine. Was she always your first choice? And how many actresses did you see for the part? And Veronica, were you part of the audition process for that?
She actually always was my first choice. I had seen her just in The Descendants, actually, and had been knocked out by her. And so she was, obviously you put together a list of people because sometimes your first choice isn't available and things like that. And we met her, and
That was it.
and I was pretty much, yeah.
But we all were gearing up to start a major, across America, casting search, as any responsible person would do, to try and say who's Triss, and she just totally derailed the process.
Yeah, I think she had to evaluate whether, she's concerned about the franchise thing. But
Well, I also think all of that took place in about a course of about 2.5 days, when, it was a lot to take on and scary in a way. But it really, we asked her to do it on a Tuesday, and by, at the end of, Friday morning she was on. But I'm sure in that process, in that interim, there was a lot of discussion, but it happened really quickly.
well, when all this casting was happening, I was working on the third book in the series, and writing is what I love to do. I don't make movies. This has been wonderful. It's been wonderful to be a part of, really. But I am at my core just someone who wants to write novels. So for me, it was like, I trust you guys. If you like someone, I'm sure
Well, I
they'll
think
be
we
great.
said,
But
I think once we decide, we want to go, we said to Veronica,
Yeah.
this is, because if Veronica had said, you know what, I hate that person, we would have listened to that as well.
Yeah,
We
just,
might have had, might have been a discussion or even an argument or something like that, but, we would have heard her.
yeah, we didn't ever test, how much influence I had, because they just kept saying here's who we're considering, and I would be like, oh, that sounds good.
Wait.
Yeah, because from our point of view, there was an anxiety because we knew these people had been born inside Veronica. So it would have been really terrible, even in sort of our own sense of the quality of the choice, if she said, that person isn't at all like Triss. And so we got over the Shailene hump, and the 4 hump was in many ways much more terrifying. Shailene, as I said, sort of emerged to all of us in a pretty strong way. For the guy, we were in trouble, and we were seeing all of the young stars in town. There was always that kind of jockeying from the major agencies of this guy's the next Steve McQueen, this guy's the next Paul Newman. And as we brought each of those guys in to read with Shailene, she blew them away. She made them seem weak. And so we kept looking, and finally we tested Theo, who, in the first moment was so exactly right. And when you've tasted failure for several weeks, it's even clearer. When you keep looking, and by the way, the movie was moving forward, and you're thinking, wow, if this guy is weak or a little bit of disappointing, the whole spine, the drive of the story, the propulsion wouldn't be there. So we finally chose Theo, and I'll let Lucy tell this because she tells it better, but we then had the moment in Chicago of showing Theo with, I would say, with great anxiety, because again, 4 was inside her, and if she kind of went, ew, that's not 4.
Yeah, I did see the screen test for
So
them,
do
yeah.
the...
Yeah, what's the story?